Hey, good afternoon, Sumit on this side from my little Himalayan village. So, today we are going to walk through something a bit different. So, we're going to walk through the entire process of me building a full website. So, this is just the front end website, as in there is no back end to it, there's no logic in the back end, there's no logic running on the server. This is just a content website I'm creating. So, I'm creating a content website for vibe coding, for no code, etc. Like this idea of AI generated coding, the structured way that I'm approaching it, for which I'm creating these videos. By the way, this is starting to look really nice. I'm not a YouTuber, but I'm really happy with where this is going. Not lots of views, but I'm also sharing the word everywhere I can. And please, if you can help me out, share the word. If you like something, let me know. If you don't like something, tell me how to improve it or what you would like to know. So now back to what I'm creating this website where let me show you how did I start. So I went to Claude and then I asked it, okay, why does the cookie setting come every time? Okay, so vibe coding learning platform, I wanted to build this. I want to build a website. I have already mentioned that I own the domain nocodo.com, so nocodo.com since 2013, and this has been a dream project of mine. I've tried it and failed at it multiple times. Technically it never really, it always seemed overwhelming, always seemed more challenging. Only with the new age large language models do I see a new way to approach that same problem. So nocodo, back in the days, if you know, for the last 5 6 8 years, no code has been quite a big like a new approach to coding for non-technical users. Like, how do you create software without knowing code? So no code. And the idea of no code always was like, of course it's somebody else's code, you just don't write the code. I think the ideas with large language models are similar, but the approach is very different. You still generate code, you still have code, and now the code does not have to be somebody else's. It's actually your code. You generate it and you run it, you maintain it, you own it yourself. But you're still not writing it. That's the main difference. You're negotiating with AI to like create structure. So let's go through this one as an exercise. So I'm just looking at the time. So I'm creating a website nocodo.com where I want to share about vibe coding. We will use a structured approach where anyone can focus on understanding basics of software engineering, like working with a Git and branch based flow, what is CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, what are tests, etc. Then we will talk about how to use Claude.ai, ChatGPT, Gemini, or other chat agents to go from a few sentences of the product description, like I have showed in my videos, to a clear product documentation. So more like a technical documentation, and you will see this itself produces a technical document. That's how I always create technical documentation, or like a high level technical documentation, not very detailed. And we'll see how we go, like I've shown before, from there to tickets. So then from there to tickets issues, and then to pass them on to, pass the tasks on to like something like Claude Code or like other coding agents. But then I'm also, like I said, I also try out Gemini CLI. I'm slowly using a little more of it. I'm also going to try out the OpenAI's Codex, I believe, Codex CLI, something like that. I forgot the name, but yeah, I'm going to try that out sometime soon. I don't have subscription for all of them. I have subscription only for Cloud Code. I do wish to have subscription for all of them so I can try them out. But like I have always mentioned, minimal cost, so only $20 a month. I don't have budget, more budget than this. So yeah, okay. So we are not creating the content right now. This is something I mentioned. We are not creating, of course. I don't want it to create a whole bunch of content. Only the categories, the high level stuff. We're only creating a learning website with the above sections and placeholders. So I just wanted to create that kind of, like, give me a high level overview, and now I can dig in and create the content as I feel free to. Please create a high level document for this website. Use Vite with Tailwind. And I'll also show you how I changed my mind midway and then how we adapted to it. So this was the technical spec it gave me. It gave me this. This is like a Markdown file I could download. So it gave me a structure and all of that. I copied that and I put it, and that became, if you go to my project, so you can see the code, by the way, at pixely/nocodo on GitHub, pixely/nocodo, completely public for anybody to view. And then if you go to, I believe if you go to the website folder, and then there's a readme.md file, this readme is this exact file, and I'll tell you what modifications I made. But let's say this is the exact file, same structure, same everything else as was given by Claude. Then now I changed to Claude Code, and on my Claude Code, I started off this project. I first created a Git project. So on github.com, I would go to my GitHub homepage, my account homepage. I would simply click new. I would click create a new repository. So in this case, my company's name is Pixely, That's also a name of one of my primary products. So Pixely / Nocodo, because most of the things I do is, I mean, me and my company pretty much the same thing in that case. And then I either use my own account, which is Brainless, and then / a project name, or Pixely / a project name. So in this case, I chose Pixely and then / Nocodo. That's it. Okay, that's how you create a project. I make it public. I didn't add any files, I believe, and I didn't add git ignore. The git ignore is like telling Git to ignore certain files. Like for example, when you're working with Node.js, you're installing all the JavaScript related dependencies in your computer, but those dependencies are like fetched from online and they don't need to be there on GitHub, as in that source code does not need to be there because it's common source code coming from the internet, so anybody else can also download it. You don't need to specifically put it in your software repository, like in your software folder, let's say. I didn't choose anything, I didn't choose a license, nothing, just create repository, and that's it. Then I cloned that repository locally on my computer. And then coming to Cloud Code, I think my first prompt, let's see if I go, and this is the total number of prompts I've created, not so many, but I already have a website. I'll show you the entire process, and the website is already live, so I'll show you that entire process. And this is a bit different that one page landing pages, by the way. This is not a one pager page. This is like a, I can edit the content, I have the structure, I can it's everything is there on my local computer, everything is there on github.com. If I make the changes, it goes to Cloudflare and it gets hosted on Cloudflare pages. That entire process is automated. All of it was just visually created or created through Cloud Code. So please read website / readme. Like I said, I just copied the content, put it in there. I have initiated a white project in website. Please scan it. So initially, like I said, it was with white. All I did, I was just curious, by the way. You can also totally ignore it, you don't have to do it, but I was like, oh, okay, let me check what white is. I mean, I know what white is, but I know nowadays, since I don't run the commands myself, I was just like curious. So I went to white. I believe that's not white. Okay, so this is white, and here I made a mistake. So I initiated a white project in website. Please scan it. This is where I made the mistake. So in my original description to Claude, I had also mentioned white. If you remember this prompt, I had mentioned white here. But when I actually went and created it myself, as I was just walking around, like checking a few how to create nice websites, etc. And I need a very simple website, by the way. No fancy React, nothing. Just Tailwind for the CSS management, and that's about it. Everything is just plain HTML, CSS. Plain HTML and practically no JavaScript, I think. Okay, so what I did was I clicked on this button. I got curious. I was like, okay, let's install Astro and let's create a website in the website folder. Why not? Because I was like, okay, maybe I was just scratching an itch or whatever, programmer habits, right? And then what happened is that I remembered, oh crap, I created the Claude instruction with white, but I'm using Astro. Astro is just like it's a great framework for these content heavy static websites. And I felt like, okay, I'll just create that. But I did nothing more than just run that single command, creating a new project. So npm create Astro latest. In my case, pnpm, it's another tool like npm. It's also another JavaScript tool. But that's it. That was the one command I ran. I created a website and chose nothing else. And when I did that, I was like, okay, fair enough. Now that I've created it, I would just pass on that context. So I did. And then what it did is it created. So first thing I always do in a fresh project, create the claude.md file. And you have seen this in my previous videos. Now I created one. I asked it to create one in the root folder and in the website folder. Now in the root folder, I copied from one of my previous ones, and the only thing I cared about, so I didn't copy everything, by the way, just making it very clear to you. I copied only from the root. I copied just this. I have this development workflow, like how I prefer working, and this is something I've already mentioned in these videos. Like I like working with a Git branch, and there are many benefits to that. For example, you don't like what is happening in a particular ticket, like how it is being solved in a Git branch, just throw that branch. That's it. Restart over. It makes life so much easier when you have adhere to some of these things. Please add some tests, and nothing fancy, by the way. Add formatters, linters. These, just like I said, like I have mentioned before, these are like code hygiene checks. And these are really great. Like they do the basic checks, and we'll see even in this project we have already added them, and it got all added by Cloud Code. So yeah, that was the first prompt, as you can see. Then I move on to the next prompt, commit push. Yeah, sure, just that basic committing and pushing to GitHub. Then this is the first one. I think I said that, hey, create a GitHub issue to install Tailwind in the website. Okay, so Tailwind, first I put the instructions. This is the wrong URL. You can see Tailwind CSS, but using white. Then I change it. Again, I put a new instruction because I figured out, oh, this was a mistake. So I pressed escape. Now I changed the prompt to saying I found the link to Astro. And then, yeah, it created the ticket. So that was the first ticket. Now, if you go to the website, I believe the tickets are no longer there because they have been finished, but I can still find it. Oh my goodness, there are so many projects. Sorry for this. Okay, repositories, yes, no Kodo. Okay, so this was the first. This was the one with Astro, and I'll show you the issues. So I have only closed issues because all of them got finished. That's how we have the website now running. So Tailwind CSS in website project, and you will see that it will mention that this is an Astro project, right? So which is why I changed the context, put in the right link, and generally it works fine. It also has link to the original link that I gave it, so that's also fine. And Claude is easily able to figure out the documentation, read the website, and just follow along. So it did that. Then what I did was asked it, hey, update the website /readme to reflect using Astro instead of white. So that was one thing, because I always, it's like that mentality to keep everything clean, right? All your documentation should be clean in your project. That's it. Commit push. Then the next prompt is create a couple more issues on website to reach the state described. So remember, the readme originally from Claude had a lot longer, had a much more content structure, right? Of course, the first commit and whatever it created with Tailwind is just a hello world page, nothing else, just one blank page showing like welcome to Astro and nothing else, right? So then I needed it to create the other tickets, which are like, hey, create the header, footer, or whatever navigation, create this content structure, basic layout, etc. And now I'll show you what it created. It created these. So it created also the first ticket for basic layout, but since I had created the Astro website already, the basic layout, I guess I didn't really need. I was like, okay, I already have Astro, so I think that's why I cancelled it. And then from the next one onward, I started building it. So these tickets were all created. They're also marked, checked, by the way, by Claude itself. So once you have gotten the hang of what to instruct Claude, the flow of things, like I mentioned to you, like if you look at this, right, the flow of things, and then when I ask Claude to actually work, you'll see that please attempt GitHub issue number 1. So this is where I actually start working on issues, right? It created all the tickets. Use the gh command, the gh command, right? That's the gh command is the GitHub command, and it gets you access to your repository and all the stuff. So all the automation that is there, and I'll show you the automation, but also the code quality checks, everything, and also the actual pull requests. All of this is just through the gh command. Okay. So follow development workflow. Now, because I have the development workflow, like I said, this is where you anchor it. You just keep on asking it to follow that. Okay. So please create a GitHub issue in actions to create actions workflow. This is where automation kicks in. So first, the first ticket was created. Great. I saw that, okay, now it's just the basic Tailwind and everything is there. The CSS and everything is now there. Now I can start creating content. But before I start creating content, before I now fully commit and make this, I want to get it live. So I started also hooking into Cloudflare. I'll show that separately. That's just UI. And I also asked it, like, create the GitHub issue to have GitHub actions workflow. So this is where automation comes in. This is a basic workflow, nothing fancy. But if you go to actions now, you'll see that these are running automatically. So whenever new code is pushed, new branch is created, and then there's a pull request created. So again, main branch, new feature branch code will go into main branch. But here now all the checks can work, and these checks are automatically run free of cost by GitHub. I believe free of cost only for open source projects, but yeah, whatever, public projects I mean, but whatever. And it's also not a major cost even if you pay for it. But the benefit you get is that you get these checks, and we can look into these checks. What are they, for example? And you'll see they are not massive. They are not many, because the other project that we are also doing on video, like you have seen, that has a lot more checks, and that also got automatically created. I didn't create any of this manually, but here is the workflow file. This is a separate file that Claude had generated and actually added to my software repository. So all of these are steps required to complete this check. So there's a quality check and there's a build test. So the build test is simply that the website is building, as in this website can be packaged in a way that it can go live. Where does it go live? This brings me to the next part, is go to cloudflare.com. I use Cloudflare. You can use Netlify. There are a bunch of places where you can host, by the way. Whatever to you makes sense, cheap, just find out a little and read about a little, do cost comparison. Cloudflare is free for these static pages. I love it. Works fine. Almost all my websites are, basically all the static websites are running from there. So all I have to do is, so this domain was already on Cloudflare. All I did, if your domain is not on Cloudflare, as in your domain does not have to be registered with Cloudflare, but the DNS has to be managed by Cloudflare if you want to, by the way. I guess you can still do pages, free pages, without the domain being managed by Cloudflare, but up to you. So you go to workers and pages, you create a new worker, and then of course you can use Cloudflare's documentation, but it's that simple. Pages, start with an existing Git repository, because I have everything on Git. Now remember, once you have your source code in Git, there are lots of these other tools that can go around Git. And that is very helpful, because all of these are automation that I don't have to write the code, I don't have to touch, things just go live. So now no code, as you can see, it's already here, and now all I have to do is nocoder.com. That's it, done. We are live. So all of these step by step, the next tickets, I just went through them. If things broke, I told it to fix, as you have already seen in my previous videos. That's it. Now what do we have as content structure? Let us go back into the folder. Any editor you are using, VS Code, I use Z, any editor that you prefer to use, probably has a good, let me, I hope the font size is good enough, probably has good support for this kind of Markdown. This is Markdown, but there is an extra layer on top, and this is like the Astro style, because we are using Astro, if you remember, for the templating. And this is supported. The syntax highlighting that I'm getting simply out of the box like this. Just one plugin I installed. My editor is Z. I use Z. I prefer Z. And it's just one click install. It simply popped up like, hey, do you want to install the support the plugin for Astro? I clicked yes, and that's it. Now I have this color, nice, done. And it still looks like HTML pages. But now if you go to pages, you'll see all the structuring. And I can simply edit these. Like I said, there is a mix of both Markdown and HTML. I'm going to make more and more of this into content, focus on the content and not the actual, like for example, if you go to the content, you will see the actual Markdown content is here. So there's the layout part of it, like what is the HTML scaffold, like, you know, where you put the content, and there's the content of it, right? So that's how you divide. So there's a content folder and there's the pages folder. The pages folder enable you to create specific page layouts, you could say, for different sections. Now if you browse the website, I think it makes it a little easy to understand. By the way, I have two of these same things open, because one is running locally, one is on nocoder.com. And then for example, you refresh this, click learn, start learning, you get this first page. So this is software engineering fundamentals. Of course I have not put in any content. I believe there is nothing, right? There's just one pager content it has created, but yeah, I'm going to now actually work on the content slowly. I'm going to put also all these videos in this now, and basically work parallelly, like create content, create videos, create content, create videos, and I'm going to hopefully market both of them. I hope to get your support also, but yeah, so this you can understand now. This website fully working with the basic structure allows me to now go ahead, fine tune the content, create more content as I see fit. I will create also some images, I'll create some videos, and I can also, by the way, it'll be really nice to create some PDF files, like one pagers for shortcuts and stuff like that, like, you know, key points. And yeah, what, you know, like lots of things in my head, but now I have a website to work upon. I have the video series going on, so I'm really happy. But now you can see it didn't take me much time. I think altogether maybe the time I spent on desk to create this from today morning was less than 3 hours. Like actually I came, just checked, came, just read, came, just tested, came, just, and then I was going around and doing other things. This to me is fantastic. Like earlier, I still remember as an engineer, even to create such static websites, and these content websites are pretty common for marketing purposes, etc., I would have to actually be on desk and write the code. Right now I no longer have to write the code. Of course the content I still have to write, and I will use also the help of AI, by the way. Why not? I'll probably create the summary of certain content and allow AI to expand. That's also totally fine these days, who's not using it. But of course, to be able to, like, I'll still be guiding this whole process, like I'm guiding this video process. Like a lot of this content, the help, etc., is coming from AI, but I'm still guiding this as a human being, right? And that I think is very important. And yeah, that's it. I hope you like this video. This was just this one video focused on this one website going live and how to go live. Like I said, the domain is already live. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you want to get a website live like this, content structured. You can go even more elaborate, and if you get stuck, just let me know. Thank you for watching.